There's a phrase that I heard long ago that I really liked. It made a lot of sense to me when it came to business. And the phrase was, are they better than you or are they just better known than you? And it's just such a simple, smart way to look at it because there are so many people in our industry that are really good at what they do, but they've got a facility that's tucked away in a light industrial park and there's no kind of intrusive visibility. There's no meaningful traffic count driving by their facility each day. They don't have a big advertising budget, or maybe they've not even tried to aggressively market and get more eyeballs on what they do. And so my family and I went to Paris this past week as I record this, and I read an article about small business in France. And the article, and to be fair, I'm telling you what was in the article. I didn't do a whole lot of digging beyond the article, so I'm assuming this is relatively close to accurate. But the article said that 51% of small business owners in France earn the equivalent or less than the equivalent of minimum wage. And in some ways, it was kind of disheartening and discouraging, but in other ways, it seemed pretty realistic. I mean, if I were to break down the hours that I see a lot of small business owners in the US spend and what they're getting paid in relation to those hours, it's probably pretty close to that as well. I mean, people definitely are working too many hours for too little pay too frequently. And as we kind of spend our time exploring Paris and seeing all these shops and cafes, you'd see proprietors of these kind of just standing behind the counter. They'd be inside their business, and there are so many. I mean, there are just thousands and thousands, actually tens of thousands of shops and cafes in Paris. And it's like, how do you even decide? How do you decide unless somebody has high visibility location next to high traffic areas, main thoroughfares, tourist type attractions, that sort of thing? How do you decide which shop to go into, which cafe, since there are cafes on every corner? And it's amazing that a lot of them are in business. In fact, I think about, so we, right across from the condo that we stayed at, and it was really close to I guess maybe the best viewing area for the Eiffel Tower. It kind of sits up and you can go down some steps and you'll be at the base of the Eiffel Tower. And so we were pretty close to that. And there was this little cafe-ish type shop that specialized in like crepes. And it wasn't close enough down to where all the people were, all the traffic. There were some really active cafes that were down there that we would see being packed every day, pretty much all hours of the day. Well, these guys were kind of up the road a little bit, and it's kind of a side road. And so it was never particularly busy. It always looked a little empty, not completely empty, but a little bit empty. And man, they did such a good job. A couple of the people that we were with said, hey, this is, like, one said, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. Another said, this is the best dessert I've ever had. And so obviously the stuff they were doing was high quality. They were very good at their craft. Personable, friendly, kind. The little cafe was cute, had a nice upstairs sitting area and an outdoor sitting area. But it wouldn't surprise me if what appeared to be like business partners, like co-owners, fell into that same kind of barely scraping by minimum wage category, because they weren't well known and they did not have a whole lot of traffic, and it had nothing to do with the quality of what they were doing. And so it's just this reminder, if you're going to be a business owner, being great at what you do is critical, right? It's so important. It's the foundation that everything is built on. But it's not enough to likely achieve your dreams as a business owner. A couple friends of mine here in Louisville, Eric Hammer and Chris Tedesco, just opened up a new facility, and it's gorgeous. And it has state of the art equipment, just brand new, high level technology, but it's kind of tucked away on a road. It's close to really good neighborhoods, but it's tucked away in a new light industrial area, brand new building, again, gorgeous. But you'd never see it from the road. You'd never just find it as a drive-by. I mean, it's got to be your destination. So when I talked to them the other day about what they needed to do to ensure their business success, it's like, man, you can't just be the best. You have to be the best known in your market. You have to be really visible. You can't be this undiscovered secret that people never walk through the door and see, because if they walk through the door, they're likely going to be impressed. And time and time again, we see that. And so if you're spending 95% of your time on the day-to-day execution of training sessions and internal operations and everything else, and you're only spending 5% of your time on being better known, then you're probably going to struggle. You're probably going to be pretty close to invisible to a lot of the people that you could help, that you could be the best possible solution for. My recommendation is to start to escalate the number of hours that you're investing on becoming more well-known, becoming not just the best at what you do, but the best known in your market. And maybe you're starting with an hour a day, and maybe eventually that gets to 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, or maybe you hire some help or outsource some things. But if you're great at what you do, in so many cases, it's just not enough. The competition, I assure you that for a few of the independently owned businesses in Louisville, where I know the owners and I know how great a job they do, whether it's those guys I just mentioned or my great friend Corey Taylor, the guys at Results, I think they do great work, better than the franchise locations here in town, better than the kind of hustle you through the door, high traffic Group X type stuff. But it's incumbent on them to be not just better, but better known to the people that they serve, because all those franchises are spending money to be on the highest traffic thoroughfares, to be in locations where they have intrusive visibility. So if you don't have those things, and most of the people who'd be engaging with this podcast or part of my email community or clients, they don't, right? They're independent owners. Then take responsibility for being the person to make sure that you're not invisible. And that can be offline, it can be online. Ideally, it's a combination of both. And if you do that, then all the good work that you're doing for the clients that do come through your door, it's going to pay off. You're not going to be in the equivalent of France's 51% that's struggling to get by and just barely paying the bills as a small business owner. You're going to be in that 5 or 10% of the owners in this industry who thrive, who build a great income and even enjoy building wealth as an owner. And in many cases, that's a big piece of the difference. So don't be invisible.